I don't think audio is enough to get you convicted. Maybe it is.
I don't know. Hey Slash.
Hey Drew.
I've got an inside joke for you.
Okay.
Guess what I ate for dinner right before the podcast?
Chick-fil-A.
Yay!
Woo!
It's literally an inside joke.
It's the only establishment that I can confirm that Drew has eaten at in his life ever.
That's not true, because I've eaten with you at some other places.
Yeah, I suppose. Those don't stick out in my mind. I've actually never been to a Chick-fil-A with you, so I suppose I can't confirm that either.
Have I asked you what you get at Chick-fil-A before?
Generally the chicken sandwich and fries. And
with pickles or without pickles?
With pickles.
Okay, good.
Very good. Acceptable.
What kind of sauce with the fries?
Sauce?
Yeah, he's a ketchup guy, I guarantee you.
No, I hate ketchup. I don't.
Oh, you eat them plain?
I mean, there's salt on them.
Ugh, you fool. There are so many options.
No, Chick-fil-A sauce.
Yourself of.
I'm not a sauce guy.
Have you had Chick-fil-A sauce?
No, and I don't want to.
That's why you're not a sauce guy.
Your ignorance is the problem.
Well, welcome to Dem Guys Podcast, everyone.
Indeed, where we judge harshly for sauce, for not partaking in sauces.
So choose wisely.
Yep. I don't know how you move on from there.
I know. Well, if you'd like to ask us about our
sauce preferences,
if you'd like to email us your sauce preferences,
I haven't even begun to start about sauces, so Chick-fil-A sauce just is this tip of the iceberg.
Oh my goodness. Well, maybe you can email us at demguyspodcast@gmail.com.
Oh my gosh, demguyspodcast@gmail.com.
Snowshoe. I think that's 2 episodes in a row where you've dropped the ball on your one job.
Sometimes I forget how email addresses work, if the @ goes before or after the username.
It's all Twitter's fault.
It is.
We're also on Twitter at demguyspodcast.
At demguyspodcast.
Very good, very good. And so if you want Snowshoe's 20-page dissertation on the proper sauce selection options available at fast food chains in the United States of America, just contact us and he will forward you that 50 megabyte file and with charts and graphs and spreadsheets embedded, doing mathematical comparisons with line charts and all of that.
It's pretty analytical.
Yeah. Yeah, and I expect you to work on that and have one of those ready if we get a request.
You only know so much. I have plenty of files on fast food.
It's funny that you say that, though, because I'm pretty sure Snow's the only one who doesn't read the email.
Yeah, that's probably true, actually.
Don't tell them our secret podcast secrets. And, we're back. See how I did that?
That was an amazing transition.
That was a transition of Mother Nature.
Yeah, yeah. We had partway through the podcast. You may have heard actually because there was a siren going off, and it's the same siren that the fire department uses for fires. So I was thinking nothing of it until my wife poked her head in and said, "There's a tornado warning for our area," and so I had to step away for a little while. But everything has resolved itself. I'm still alive. The house still stands. I saw no funnels while we were waiting, so we're ready to continue on.
Any cows flying through the air?
Did not, no. Or Helen Hunts or anything.
Dorothy's? Monkeys?
Nope, no monkeys. We did not have an attack from a witch from Oz.
You got screwed.
I should report the sky at my house is very black right now, so
we may have a pause for Drew's tornado warning.
Well, siren. Drew doesn't have tornado sirens, so Drew is just going to die in the middle of the podcast if something goes wrong, which is going to be really bad if something does happen. So
that would be really bad, yeah.
Let's edit that part out just if it does.
Probably would not have released this episode, I think, if we had a tragedy like that.
I was going to say it's even worse because you guys aren't recording my audio, so you wouldn't be able to post my final moments.
That's true.
We would just be commentating the end of your life.
Yeah.
Oh, that's morbid.
That's really bad.
Speaking of morbid, death and trying to kill people and Minecraft 1.9.
Yes, apparently the latter or the former is the focus of the latter.
Exactly. So it was actually really cool. On April 1st, Minecraft came out with a April Fool's snapshot that I don't even remember what was in it because it was
the Love and Hugs update. They took away hunger and they had like a love bar, and it was like you didn't actually engage in combat. You tried to make friends with the mobs, and there were some silly. There was like a potion of sharing, I think, in there. There was a bunch of ridiculous stuff.
Interesting. I didn't even see it.
They had obsidian boats. Because that was my favorite update. Because of the complaints of how easily wooden boats break. They were like, okay, have some obsidian boats that are sturdier, but they sank. You could place them on the water, but then they just sink down to the bottom.
Because I was gonna say we've wanted boats that could go on lava.
We have.
That'd be perfect.
Ooh, that's interesting.
That would be good. There was a talk for a while that they were going to make the mine carts do that, but then they never did.
That'd be cool if there was bigger lakes of lava.
That would
you
be
really
cool.
needed the boats.
Called the Nether.
You can totally get around Nether lava lakes.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, in the snapshot, it was discovered by a Redditor and then made popular by Doc. He found out that apparently they changed the snowfall pattern. It's really cool, actually. So if you go into a creative world or something and make a big chunk-sized square out of, I don't know, something you can see that's not white, and toggle downfall, the snowfall pattern falls in the shape of a QR code. And so if you zoom over it and look down at the QR code and decode it, it says 1.9, the combat update.
It was a very clever way of giving that little hint as to what was coming. Now, they haven't released a snapshot since then, so we don't know what sorts of combat changes they're planning to make to the game.
Yeah, it was
but
just
it's got
a
everybody all a Twitter, so to speak, about what could they possibly be adding, changing, etc. that has to do with combat.
So we know they're
Shields.
probably reworking the dragon update or the dragon fight.
Well, that's true. That's something that they had been talking about. That 1.9 was going to have.
I actually have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, shoot.
So I haven't played Minecraft for a while, and I definitely haven't fought the dragon in a while. Has the dragon already been updated from like what it traditionally was?
No, the dragon fight is the same as it's always been, as far as I know.
Okay, the Xbox version then
is different. And that's one of the things they're looking to incorporate some of the console version stuff, like the breathing of the purple fire or whatever it is. I think they're looking to bring some of that back to PC to make the.
Yeah, I didn't know about that until very recently. I saw someone playing the Xbox version, and they went into the end, and the dragon was breathing fire, and I'm like, and they didn't act like it was new at all, and I was very confused.
Yeah.
I'm like, when did I miss that?
No, apparently it's always been like that on the Xbox. So
It's kind of interesting. The console devs are just so separated, and so are the Pocket Edition devs.
Yeah, it's completely different teams.
It's almost a different game at times.
It really is. Because, I mean, Pocket Edition has some ridiculous stuff in it. There's like a nether reactor or something, I think, that you can get in Pocket Edition. And it's like...
don't they have I think they have radishes or turnips or something?
Yeah, different kinds of crops. Yeah, it's like they kind of... I think, well, for the console edition, I think they forked off beta 1.6 and just gave it to a team and said, here's some code, port that to your console, and then do what you want with it.
Which makes sense. You know, it gets PC players to want to play the console editions.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic idea. But I'm very, very curious. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff. Combat in Minecraft feels simultaneously simple and complex because on the one hand, you've got the pretty basic, like, I stab you with my sword. I just, like, spam click you when you're nearby with the sword, equipped.
Right.
But then there's also the bow mechanic aspect to it, and, you can get some people that can, excuse me, you can get some people that are just ridiculously good with firing a bow, like back and forth across the map, like the Race for Wool type maps and all that stuff. And the people who are good with bows in Minecraft are always the ones that are sort of called out in group UHC type things, like, okay, well, give all the arrows over to Paws, because he's really good with a bow. And then there's splash potions, which add an interesting mechanic to it as well. But like,
interesting suicidal mechanic.
Yeah, more often than cases. Not. So it'll be interesting to see, what sorts of updates. I'm kind of hoping for like a potion launcher, something that you can like load a splash potion into. And like you pull it back like a bow, and you can shoot it a longer distance than just the sort of thrown item mechanic. It treats it more like an arrow.
I think I maybe with Drew that I think shields may be coming.
Man, I don't know. I have a hard time.
I've seen them in plenty of mods.
I have a hard time seeing how well a shield actually would work in combat. I mean, you've already got the blocking mechanic, but who knows? They could,
if they're gonna do a combat update, they have to completely rework melee combat. Because it's just, it's as basic as you can possibly get right now.
Yeah, and there's also the question of, okay, right now, basically, you've got a sword for melee and a bow for ranged. Are they going to add additional options there? Are you going to have...
scythe?
Well, like Tinker's Construct, one of the things that it does is it has a whole bunch of different, melee weapon options. You've got your basic broadsword, which is equivalent to the sword that's in Minecraft already. But then you've got, like, rapiers that are, real quick swing speed, but don't do a lot of damage, and they help you dodge back and forth a little bit better. And there's, like, cleavers that give you mining fatigue, so they swing real slow, but they do a lot of damage when they connect, and, they block for more because they're a bigger blade, and there's, I forget what else there's in there. There's long swords, and I think you can get ninja stars in Tinker's Construct these days, so...
No, I think there's definitely going to be weapon diversity.
Yeah. But it remains to be seen, like, what is Mojang going to feel like putting in compared to what the community has added in mods in the past?
Well, we talk about it all the time. How long has it been since they've had an update?
It's been a long, long time.
I feel like it's been, 6 months or something. I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's been forever.
Except for the update that they just had.
Right.
Releasing 1.8.4 because somebody decided that a 2-year-long trouble ticket not being addressed in the last 2 years was... grounds enough to try to have a security breach.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I remember reading that on Ars Technica, and then I think the very next time I pulled up the launcher, it was like, Minecraft 1.8.4, a highly recommended security update. I'm like, I bet it is.
Yeah, it's mostly just for servers, but...
Yeah, exactly. It's not really, like, updating my client to it didn't really help anybody.
Right.
It's you gotta update your server to it.
Yeah.
Because that's what was vulnerable. But, that I got a kick out of that as well.
That was interesting. Well, speaking of other things that changed, I guess. So, Slash and Drew haven't heard about this yet, but as you guys remember, in the last podcast, I alluded to some kind of announcement coming from MindCrack based on what BOO and MC Gamer had said. And
right.
MindCrack did, in fact, change. I think it was April 3rd. As of April 3rd, there were members that have been kicked out of MindCrack.
Kicked out?
Kicked out?
Yes, they have been... they chose to leave, / were removed, / are still kind of awkwardly part of it. So MindCrack, their whole thing is they want to become a brand, and they want to become... I can't remember if it's trademarked. I guess it's trademarked. So that nobody can take their name in the wrong way and make money off of it. So they've said that their lawyers say that they need to have certain ground rules and have everybody have agreements and contracts with MindCrack. And certain members decide that they didn't want that, or they didn't belong to MindCrack, or they didn't agree with the vision of MindCrack, which includes things like going to cons, or they have to agree to different group activities and things like that, and merchandising.
Interesting.
So as of April 3rd, do you guys have any guesses? There were 5 members that have left / were kicked out / are no longer a part.
So
I'll give you a hint. They are 5 members that you would likely not see at a convention.
Likely not see at a convention. I'm guessing Etho.
I can guess. Yeah, that's my number one guess.
From that
Sure
one.
enough, Etho was removed from MindCrack.
Interesting. I wonder if that was part of the catalyst for him starting to do Hermitcraft.
I think it could have been because MC Gamer tweeted something a long time ago, and that was way before I even said anything. It was like 3 weeks before. It was early March, I think MC Gamer said, and that's probably whenever they announced it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
I'm going to guess the gyms.
The gyms is 2?
Yeah, that makes sense. He's not really like big on the brand kind of thing. He was sort of still kind of casual, I think. Because
But
he was
he was
with them for a long time, right?
Yeah, he was the oldest member, I think,
Yeah.
besides
Yeah.
Scoot.
Pack Rat?
Nope, Pack Rat's still in it.
That's
Okay.
cool for Pack Rat.
Yeah, so I guess I don't know if he's eventually going to be at cons or what.
Yeah, I can't. There's a lot of them have
There's-
come to cons.
2 more big Mindcrackers and 1 kind of auxiliary Mindcracker.
I wouldn't be
Adlington?
surprised to hear if BOO and Generic B decided that they weren't going to be part of it anymore.
Sure enough, the B team is no longer a part of Mindcrack.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me in the slightest. They were kind of going their own way anyway.
Right.
It felt like, so that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, they're both
and
kind of away
one-
from Minecraft in general. But I mean, so is Mindcrack. But yeah, they haven't done any Mindcrack collabs or anything. And then the 5th member is Paul Soares Jr.
Oh, interesting.
I can
Yep.
see him.
Paul's big enough to be on his own
Also-
again. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why he would need to stick with Minecraft if he didn't enjoy the new direction. It doesn't bother me any, these changes. I thought, Minecraft, losing members or whatever would be kind of more of a big deal than that, but I don't know, it hasn't been as much about the brand really ever, I guess, and that's one of the reasons, I guess, why they're trying to move in that direction, is to try and make it a little bit more of a marketable brand than it has been. It was always just about, like, they just happen to be what they call this group of guys, and subgroups of those guys tend to do things together, and, it's whatever.
Definitely getting more, I don't know, everybody likes to use the word corporate, but that's the internet is so anti-corporate in general that it's thrown around way too often.
Right.
But they're trying to make a living off of something that they make a living doing. So, of course, everybody hates that.
Yeah.
But they did it in kind of an awkward way. Like, so there's a couple things that they have caveats to this. And so it says Minecraft is opening membership on our groups to include departing Minecraft members as VIPs on the whitelist. So those who like building in vanilla Minecraft can continue doing so on the Minecraft server. They can also be VIP guests at future Minecraft events and signing sessions and stuff.
Okay.
And departing members will be invited to participate in many future UHC sessions.
So
It could
basically,
be-
they didn't want to
Cut ties
make
with
it
them,
like,
I guess.
yeah, they didn't want to make it like, okay, if you're not in Minecraft, you can't be on the Minecraft server. Because,
Yeah.
it's or part of on a Minecraft server, because UHC would kind of fall in that category as well.
Yeah, but I'll pay you $100 if you ever see any of them in a Minecraft UHC or on the Minecraft server again.
Yeah, well, I don't expect. I mean, the B team, they haven't really been interested in doing. I think vanilla Minecraft in general.
Right. Well,
B-Dubs,
BWO
I guess he
does
still does
building with B-Dubs.
building with BWO, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
actually
so
one of the
there's that.
longest Minecraft series.
And Etho, he had been saying for a while that he didn't really see much of a point to him being on the Minecraft server because, it very quickly each season would get to be, he would be like the only one on when he would be
Right.
recording. And he's like, I've already got a single player Minecraft series. I don't really need to have 2. It's the time sink.
But to piggyback off of that, he has shifted all of his multiplayer focus over to Hermitcraft. And I've watched a couple of those episodes. They are fantastic. You guys
They
should
are
check
good
them out.
because there's so many Hermitcraft people that are active on that server.
Yeah, like
And that's-
truly active, and
Yeah.
and they have really creative and cool ideas. Like I just watched one today where they made a mini golf course where the ground is ice and you throw entities like little items.
Right, into hoppers.
Yeah, it slides on the ice and lands in the hopper, and you go pick up your item out of the hopper.
It's very, very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, the Hermitcrafters, it just seems to be a little bit more of a Minecraft oriented group than MindCrack itself is.
Right.
Not a lot of them have really been vanilla fans for a while.
Yeah, I mean, there was actually a comment on our last video. I forget who said it, but they pointed out that Hermitcraft is also a lot younger than Mindcrack, and that might sort of be why they seem more energized than Mindcrack about doing vanilla.
Yeah, I think the MindCrack server's been around. Oh man, I couldn't even tell you how long, honestly. But
I think
Hermitcraft's
it was
only been around for
2011.
like 3 years tops.
Yeah.
I want to say.
Oh,
I
so
don't
you
have
mean the
the
server
actual
itself's age? I thought you meant the people. I was gonna say the people are probably about the same. I think.
Yeah, in terms of like average member age and stuff,
Right.
I think that's about the same. But I think the Hermitcraft community is a younger community.
And it's because the YouTubers are so much smaller, they are still striving to become bigger YouTubers, whereas I feel like a lot of the MindCrack YouTubers don't have those same kind of aspirations.
Right.
I mean, some of them obviously do, and some of them do want to do it as a living, but a lot of them are just kind of hanging out. Like, take Nebris, for example. He doesn't want to be a big YouTuber, or Adlington. I don't know, Adlington may, but...
Yeah.
I don't know,
yeah,
it's pretty cool, though.
I think it's fine, though. Like, it's not, it doesn't blow my mind, that new direction.
I was kind of mind blown by Etho, because he had mentioned wanting to go to some cons and Minecon and stuff like that. So it was interesting to hear that's kind of what broke him free of MindCrack.
Well, I don't know necessarily that was his reason for leaving MindCrack, unless that was stated somewhere. It could just be that he didn't want to have to be obligated to anything.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, that's... to be honest, given the nature of being a YouTuber and, sort of you're self-employed in that, the only one you're actually really dependent on is yourself. Yeah, you do collabs and stuff, but if those happen to fall through or whatever, you can always produce your own content and put up without anybody else. And so it kind of surprises me that given that self-sufficient, trait that YouTubers have, that as few people left MindCrack as did when obligations were starting to be put upon them. It seems like that would be the sort of thing that most YouTubers would kind of rail against. It's like, well, wait a second. It was all fine and good when I had a choice, but, to say that I have to attend a given con under certain circumstances or whatever, that chafes a little bit or whatever.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that's what Etho did. And obviously, the B team was just like, well, we're not even a part of this anymore anyway, so adios.
Exactly.
And probably the same with Paul Sawyers and the gyms.
Yeah.
But yeah, Etho was the one that kind of perplexed me. When I saw that, I was like, holy cow, because MindCrack itself lost 3 million subscribers.
Right, between Etho and Paul, yeah.
Well, I was talking about B-dubs.
Well, B-dubs, yeah.
They're all over 1 million. So they probably lost 5 million total.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's overlap, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, there are plenty of people that, even if they started watching those people, that, like, I started with watching Kurt, and then I ended up subscribing to pretty much all of the Mindcrackers. And I mean, I don't watch most of them that frequently anymore, but there are certain series that I'll still watch, like Kurt and Vintage Beef doing F1, or like Nebris's GeoGuessr series is awesome. Sorry, I love GeoGuessr. So,
but I mean, it's definitely taken a new direction, and all of the Minecraft guys seem super hyped about it. All these so-called plans they have coming up. Yeah. So there could be a lot of cool stuff on the horizon. I don't know.
Very cool. We'll have to wait and see. Well, speaking of going in a new direction, Drew, you mentioned your D&D campaign is resetting?
Yes. Thank you. That was the transition I was thinking of, and you pulled it off better than I could have.
I'm excellent.
So, for a little bit of background information, we've been playing... Sorry, Snow. We've been playing D&D for a while. We started out at level 1, and our party reached level 9 recently.
And what edition of Dungeons and Dragons are you playing? Which rule set?
Oh, it's actually Pathfinder 3.5.
Gotcha. Okay.
So not traditional Dungeons and Dragons exactly, but it's
close enough.
It's pretty close. Yeah.
All right. So you recently hit level 9.
Yeah, and we had introduced some non-standard classes and stuff to just to try out, and basically one of the things my DM said was that he felt like we were too overpowered, and while he could continue with that, he didn't prefer to, because he was having to go look at min-max boards and like throw like massive hordes of enemies at us just to keep them alive for more than 3 rounds.
Yeah.
And a big part of that was because one of the players was a gunslinger werewolf.
What?
And
yes, D&D at its finest.
the werewolf itself, he said, was fine, even though it is pretty powerful. It has natural damage reduction and stuff, so
right.
That's pretty big. But his gunslinger, if he got a critical hit, he dealt. I don't remember exactly what the damage roll is, but a critical hit for him was times 4.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and by the way, the using a gun is against touch AC, not normal AC, so it's easier to hit things.
Right.
But it's times 4, and then he also had a enchantment on it that did like 3d10 ice damage or something as well.
Yikes.
So if he crit something, it was getting up in like the 60s through 80s level of damage.
Right, that's just insane for level 9. It's a ridiculously high number.
We had basically the last thing we had done, which is kind of when he decided, okay, this is too much. We were fighting a sorcerer who was... and there were other enemies too. But we were fighting a sorcerer who was 5 levels above us, and basically one critical hit. It was like 3 rounds into combat, 1 critical hit blew its head off.
Yeah,
and that was that.
And we all went home.
So when your DM says that he's resetting the campaign, are you getting new characters and actually redoing adventures you've done, or are you just embarking on a brand new thing? Yeah,
we're starting to completely... Basically, he said it wouldn't even work to just bring in new characters because there would be... Like, if it was just the gunslinger, then maybe.
Right.
But he also decided that he wanted to take out... I was playing as a psionic character. Mm-hmm. And he decided he wanted to take out psionics, not because it was broken, but because it's just a whole nother rule set that he's not used to.
Yeah.
And and that would really mess up the story in a world where there is psionics. To just suddenly have it all disappear, it wouldn't make sense.
Right.
So
that's cool. So what can you tell us about the new campaign, just briefly, or don't you have that information yet?
No, I do. I don't know if you're aware of what happened with 4th edition and everything, but do you know about the spell plague?
Yeah, you're talking in the Forgotten Realms.
Yes.
The spell plague. Yes, I am familiar with that. For those who are not, basically the Forgotten Realms campaign setting in the Dungeons and Dragons materials, there was a spell plague that hit that fantasy realm, and it caused some massive damage. I guess there were 2 parallel planes that ended up crashing into each other and merging, and there's all sorts of side effects from that have irreparably changed that landscape. So that's the gist of it, I guess.
Yeah. It was essentially the apocalypse. So
more or less, yeah. That's a good version of it.
So we had been playing about 100 years after the spell plague, and so there were still some effects, but it had calmed down a lot. Mm-hmm. We're now going actually back in time. We're going 50 years after, so it's a lot more recent. There are a lot. People are still like a lot less like they're just trying to survive. So they kind of are like they trust people less. Civilization hasn't been fully rebuilt, I guess.
Gotcha.
So could you potentially play long enough to see your other characters born?
Well, this is a completely alternate. Those characters won't exist because of he took those things out of the game. But so for the last, I don't know, 2 weeks, I've actually been running a separate, like a mini campaign while he's been resetting that for us. But for the past 2 weeks, we've been having all these massive talks about like what our new party's going to be, and like who's going to be in what roles and everything. Yeah. And I'm extremely excited about my new character. I'm going to be an elf fighter who's primarily an archer.
Interesting.
And I'm really excited because this is the first time that I'm not playing some kind of caster. I don't have to worry about all these what spells do I have or like whatever. I'm basically I can just brute force it. Well, not exactly because I'm playing an elf. It's more of a finesse thing, but still I can just be like massive damage.
Now, do you have other people in the party that are also serving as tanks? Because I find it interesting that you're a ranged, focused fighter.
Yeah,
usually they're like a frontline guy.
Right. Well, originally that's what I thought when I picked fighter. I thought I would have to sort of be the tank, but I'm going to be more of a scout. Although I'm going to by like 9th or 10th level with the stuff that I'm choosing. I'm going to be able to be... I kind of will be able to be a frontline fighter even with a bow, because it won't trigger attacks of opportunity, and I'm actually going to get attacks of opportunity with my bow, which is something that I'm excited about.
Are you going to start pulling some Legolas stuff where you stab him with the arrow and then shoot somebody else with it, with the same arrow?
That was a feat that you could take where you
with their
stab
eyeball,
someone with an arrow.
Stuck to the shaft of the arrow.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But it's so minimal damage that
oh man,
it's not really worth it.
You have to take it for the cool factor. Don't care about the mechanics of it.
There's so many other things. I asked my DM about it. I'm like, is there any way that I could just like coup de grace someone by like grabbing one of them and stabbing an arrow in their throat? And he's like, well, technically in real life, yes, that would kill someone. It's like, in the game, an arrow would do, like, 1d2 damage. So...
Yeah. You know what, though? I mean, sometimes it's fun taking feats just for the aesthetic appeal of it. Like, I have this Eladrin wizard, and I took a feat for him that, he can use his longsword as the wand instead of an actual, like, wand implement. He can just cast through his sword, which I did primarily so that whenever he does magic missile, I can say that it looks like Link shooting stuff out of the Master Sword when he's got full health.
Nice.
You know, I didn't need it mechanically to be able to do that, but it was like, I'm going to use this feat, and it's cool.
Well, I am definitely doing some stuff, not because it's the best choice, but because it's fun. Honestly, what I'm doing with a fighter, going primarily with a bow, is definitely not the best fighter choice.
Right.
But I'm really excited. I have a picture of Talion from the main character from Shadow of Mordor, and that's kind of what I'm building him in my mind. But I didn't want to pick a ranger. I wanted to be a fighter, so that's
very cool.
But yeah, so I have a bow and like an elven curved sword, which I never got to get criticals when I'm using spells because half the time I'm not even rolling for that.
Right,
so
it's like a saving
I'm very excited. I want to get keen on my sword, which doubles the critical range. So that means I'm going to have like a 30% chance to get a critical hit with that sword.
Good heavens. That's
yeah.
That's a pretty good range. Yeah. That's that is insane. So wait, you say 30% chance? So
yeah, because it's an 18 to 20 crit ratio, and then if you get keen on it, it doubles that.
Right, so it'd be 16 to 20.
No, 15 to 20.
Oh, right. So 15 to 20, yeah. So that's a 20, well, I guess, 25, 30%. Depends on how you count it, because it would be inclusive. Okay, I gotcha. That's insane. That is absolutely insane. Yeah, I can't even imagine. Now, what you need...
But I am going to be using...
Go ahead.
What? Go... Oh, okay. Well, I was just going to say, I am going to be using my bow primarily, but I am also getting some cool CM or combat maneuvers with my bow, so like I'll be able to trip and grapple people by shooting arrows at them.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah.
That is a cool mechanic. Now, what you guys need, though, for this brand new campaign is you need to get yourself a custom gaming table, which my friend just got. It is the coolest thing ever. It was custom built, and it has, like wooden, like tongue and groove slats that make up the table's surface that you can remove, and there's a sunken down in portion that's glass covered that you can set up your maps in. and you can you can rearrange these pieces so that it's like, okay, when you take the slats out, you can put in like side rails to increase, give a little extra table space in front of the people sitting along the sides of the table. It has cup holders that clip into grooves on the side, so you don't have to put your cups up on top of the table. It came with a felt-lined box that you can clip in for rolling dice. There's only one of those, so that goes to the DM. But and there's like a little utility table for the DM that's kept like hangs off the side, that it's not part of the table proper.
He bought this?
He bought this. Yeah, you see them very often at conventions, like at PAX. They'll have the companies that make these. They'll have some of their example tables are set up, and then you can take an order for them or whatever. And but you give it like, I want it this wide by this long, and I want these lists of features sort of thing. He went in for the card table surface. You take out all the slats except for 2 on either end, and then there's a support piece that goes in the middle, and then a square board that you can put felt side up. And it's like, I don't know if you've ever seen the tabletop show on Geek and Sundry's YouTube channel. It's that kind of surface that they have for their gaming table.
The one that everybody just sits there and pets the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. That's the one. And then on the other side, they call it like a crafting surface, where it's like it's like a rougher material that you can actually do if you're like doing scrapbooking, or if you're painting minis or whatever that you might be doing. That it's it's designed not to really be a default surface or a visible surface, I guess, under most circumstances, but it's so it's something that you can afford to actually get a little dirty or messy if you spill some paint or whatever. It's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. And it is super cool. The cup holders alone
sounds awesome.
are a really nice feature, because it's just the space that it saves you. But the price tag's a little hefty. I believe my friend said that he dropped 5 G's on this table.
Oh my gosh.
There's a lot of things I could drop 5 G's on.
And a table is not on that list.
A table is not on that list.
Yeah. It was pretty funny. We got into a conversation over the weekend about, because he might be 40 now, and we were gotten into some kind of conversation about midlife crises, and he's like, I wonder what my midlife crisis is going to be. And I'm like, you mean the table wasn't it? And he goes, the table might have been it, now that you mention it. But it's an awesome game table, and we're all very thankful, because that's where we go for D&D, for both campaigns that we're participating in. So it's nice that we've got that available. I look forward next month. I'm running my campaign for the first time using that table, and I'm very excited to make use of the DM's chair.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You get to use all the special DM features.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, speaking of dropping G's...
Nice.
What?
I don't remember if I talked about this, because I think... Well, last podcast I know I didn't. And podcast before that, I don't think I had it yet. But I got a new car.
Congratulations!
So that's a good
thing. What did you get?
It is a 2003 Mitsubishi Eclipse.
Mitsubishi Eclipse, interesting. I'm not familiar with the Mitsubishi Eclipse.
It's been one of my favorites for a while, and I didn't know if I'd ever be able to own one, because, I mean, not that it's super expensive, but I've always thought, like, I'm going to be buying my cars out of practicality, and it's just like whatever's cheap.
Right.
And I managed to find one for a decent price.
Very cool. Very cool indeed. So what's your favorite thing about the Mitsubishi Eclipse that made it a must-get automobile?
I mean, I just love the look of it, really.
I really do like the look of those cars.
Yeah.
When I was getting a car when I was 16, I wanted one, but I can't get away from my car right now, so I don't even have eyes for any other cars.
It's got Snowshoe trapped in his house.
It does. Actually, I'm podcasting within my car. I literally cannot get out.
He can't find the lock. Switch.
I just drive to work and roll the window down and talk to people.
Snow, is that harder or easier than podcasting from in your closet?
Much easier. Much more legroom in this car.
Nice. Oh, man. Yeah, I've never been one to pay a whole lot of attention to cars. Like a lot of guys are like, they love looking at the sports cars and reading reviews and this, that, and the other thing. My first car was just the car that the family happened to have, and my next car was when my parents were getting a new car, they traded in the car that I had towards the new car, and then I got their old car, So up until the car that I just bought about 6 months ago, I had been driving hand-me-down cars, and I was fine with it. I was like, whatever, if it gets me from point A to point B, that's all I need in an automobile.
See, but you grow to love them. They're like pets almost. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I named mine, but
I've never named any of my vehicles, but I have personified them. There is like the like after the last car, after a fill up, like if I let the gas get really low and then I fill it up, you could tell it felt a lot heavier. and I'd be like, "Oh, do you have a full tummy?" It's stuff like that, because it's like you feel it when you're driving it.
Right.
You can feel that change.
Oh.
And it sort of gives the car a personality.
So, Drew, what are you going to name it?
I don't name or speak to my cars.
No, you will name it. What's its name?
No.
You know what?
I'm not going to name it.
The crew on the listenership.
Name that car.
Name Drew's car. We want to see comments on this video on YouTube with car name suggestions for Drew. I want to see a flood of them. Get to work, people.
My car's name is Bruce.
Bruce?
Bruce, because it's gray. And it looks like, it looked like Bruce from Finding Nemo. I guess it still does. And everybody thought it was really cool when I got it. It's kind of unusual looking, I guess. But, so it was like Bruce Wayne Batmobile. So it's perfect.
That's very cool.
I might have, just because it was an Eclipse that I wanted, if it didn't cost the extra money, when I got the new car, I was actually getting a new license plate because my old one's registration was out anyway. And if it didn't cost the extra money, and, well, it's probably taken anyway, but I would have gotten a 43 as the, get a custom license plate.
I gotcha.
Okay, like FORTY 3.
That's probably the way you would have had to have done it, yeah.
Something like that,
I doubt you could have just gotten the number 43.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
But
that's cool, though. I like that.
I don't need to spend the extra money right now.
I had the same option that I could have gotten a custom license plate when I got mine, but I was like, I don't. I'm not too concerned.
I think the only thing I know
this license plate number already by heart in case it comes over the announcements for some reason. You've left your light on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was not inclined. My wife has a custom license plate though.
The only thing I could have done is gotten a wildlife gaming and fishing license plate, a conservationist supporter.
Yep.
I was gonna ask what your wife's custom license plate is, but that's probably not suitable for the podcast.
No, we won't necessarily advertise that to the internet. just to be on the safe side.
I've probably seen it, but I don't even remember it.
Well, that's good.
But, okay.
Now, does your new Mitsubishi Eclipse have a good sound system in it?
And how many steps from hell is it?
I was working towards a much better transition to our next topic, and Snowshoe was like, no, we're gonna get straight to it.
I charged the door.
Well, to answer your question, it has a decent radio, but that's about it. It has a radio and a CD player, and I really want an auxiliary port because I pretty much listen to everything off my phone.
Right.
So I bought a new radio actually for only $20 on Amazon.
Not bad.
And it's literally just the radio, and then it has an auxiliary port. So it doesn't even have a CD player, but I never use that
You'll
anyway.
never need it. Yeah,
so,
exactly.
The only time I bought my own radio, it got stolen like 3 weeks later.
Oh, no.
And I had to pay for a new one and a new window. So I don't get new radios anymore.
Like, screw the radio.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, this is only a $20 one, so it's... But thanks Snow for making that very not subtle transition that we didn't even follow through with.
We didn't keep, yeah.
Yeah, it's just floating out there. Nobody has any idea what it means.
Yeah.
Run with it, Drew.
A couple of minutes. I'm very excited. Next week, a new Two Steps from Hell album comes out.
There we go.
And,
there's the transition.
Yay.
Yes.
We've resolved it.
I'm super, super excited because the last album they came out with, they had said was more of like a, I don't, well, for anyone who doesn't know, they just do like epic soundtrack music, and I can almost guarantee you've heard one of their songs in a movie or video game trailer, and because their songs get used a lot for trailers for projects that like don't have their own soundtrack yet,
right?
And they use it a lot in stuff like Top Gear too. Anyway, yeah, the last one was more of like I forget what they called it, but it was like, it wasn't their normal like epic music. It was more like just like slower, calmer tones, and it was like almost music to fall asleep to. Not exactly, but I forget what that's called.
Like ambient
I'm trying
music?
to think of the word, and I can't. Yeah, kind of a little bit. And so I didn't even buy that whole album. Like, I just picked a couple of songs that I really liked from it. But the new one is coming out in a week, and I pre-ordered it on iTunes, so I'll get it as soon as it comes out. And I've listened to the previews that are available, and yeah, it's definitely the album is called Battle Cry, and it's just like a much more
easy listening.
So I'm very excited to, as I said, I listen to music off my phone all the time, so I'm very excited to drive to the epic sounds of Two Steps from Hell. So
cool.
I think that would be
you'll have to review it next podcast. We want to review the album.
I can tell you now, it's excellent.
All right, but review over.
Spoiler.
Yeah.
there were actually people who gave it 5-star ratings already, even though it's not out yet.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. You find that all the time.
Yeah. I think that would be my dream job. Like, if I were any good at it, if I could make money at it, be some kind of composer like that. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. The people that can crank out stuff like that reliably, that's an impressive thing. Because, like, there are folks that, they're creative, they can compose music, and they have the theory and everything, but, it's sometimes you just lack the inspiration necessary to actually create something new from scratch. My wife is very good at arranging. She has done her hand at some composing some stuff, but she's very good at taking existing songs and arranging them in interesting ways. But
really
and I have a ton of respect for people that can even do that. I have the sort of the music theory, but I'm too analytically minded. Like, it would just come out as like, arpeggios and scales and stuff like that. Yeah, there's it kind of.
I did the math. I did the math. This is the ideal sound for the human ear.
Right.
Over the past 50 years, I have finally crafted the perfect song.
The golden note.
Yeah, the golden note. It's just dong.
You're welcome.
That's it. On alto sax.
Oh, is this my turn? Okay,
Yeah.
I played Papers, Please, and Uncharted.
There you go.
I did. Yeah, actually, I beat Uncharted, which is a fantastic game. I really, really liked it. Drew, you've played it before, right?
Yeah, I haven't beaten the second. I own all three. I've only just started the second one, but yes, the first one was quite fun. I beat
the first one in a couple of days, so I'm trying to slow down so I don't go all the way through all of them too quickly.
Yeah. Did you notice something? One of the things that I got out of that game that I thought was really funny was, so occasionally, like, you're in these old ruins, and you'll come up to these gates, and a lot of times there are, like, doors or whatever, that, like, it says, press, I forget what it is, like, Y to kick, or something like that, and you kick the gate, and
Triangle.
it, like, rattles, but it doesn't open because it's locked.
Yeah.
And you can kick it as much as you want, and it won't open. And then if you pull out your gun and shoot the lock, then you kick it, and they go flying off the hinges.
Right.
And
Yeah,
I'm like, how does unlocking it...
I noticed
I'm like, how did unlocking it break the hinges?
It's like, it didn't even look like the doors came apart. They just fell off the hinges. It's like, wait a minute. You just didn't kick hard enough last time. We had to pull out our gun and waste ammo on that?
That's amazing.
No, but so I really like that, and I've heard that Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3 have harder puzzles, which I'm interested in, because Uncharted 1's puzzles were not anything to bat an eye at. But That said, the game was made in 2007, I think, and the graphics are astounding. Like, for 2007, it's amazing. It gave me the feeling like I really wanted to keep going and find this treasure in the Incan, I think it was, ruins, are just really cool. But the thing I hated about that game, there are these enemies that come out right at the end of the game, and it's kind of a spoiler, so I won't tell you too much about them, but they are humanoid, mutant things that are trying to kill you by scratching your face off.
And they kill you very quickly.
They do, and they will jump on top of you, and you have to shake your controller to get them off of you, because I'm playing on PS3. And
yeah, that's the only platform it's on.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's pretty terrible, and I really liked the game up until that point, and I was like, nope, screw this, nope. And I just screamed so much through that entire 3 hours I played those guys. So bad.
Yeah, that final room, I tried just like running past everything, like up the ramp or whatever, and it doesn't work because seriously, like 2 hits and you're dead. Like bullets do less damage than they do.
I'm such a coward. Like that would have made a terrible LP, because all I would have done is run around a corner, wait for the guys to basically get to a choke point, and then shoot him in the head a couple of times. But it just would have been me screaming a lot and then running away, which apparently is how you make YouTube videos. So maybe I should have.
Yeah, that might have been entertaining.
Sorry, I'm trying to remember what there was. Oh, the other thing that frustrates me about those games, like most of the time it's really good, but occasionally, and maybe it's just me not being a big fan of the PS3 controller, but occasionally you have to do some sort of like jump across a big chasm or whatever, and for whatever reason you just like completely like you feel like the game should do one of those, like you get really close to the ledge and it just automatically grabs on, and there's a lot of times where you'll just like bounce off something random and
or like it seems like there's a ledge that he should be able to jump to, but instead he does the pansiest jump, and you're just like, really? I mean, you can't choose how hard the guy jumps, but he just didn't even try, and he fell to his death. I was like, okay, whatever suits your fancy, guy.
He's not actually interested in proceeding. He's had enough. He's just out there. He's done. Yeah.
No more mutanoids, whatever you call those guys. They're terrible. No, but I thought you were going to talk about where you have to like walk across logs and balance by tilting the controller. I'm using this antiquated piece of equipment at this point to try to.
I don't think I ever fell doing that.
I fell off the log about every time, but he just kind of grabs onto the log and you get back on it.
Oh, so it's just annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just makes it slower. He doesn't ever die.
I hate those kinds of mechanics in games.
Yep. Anyway, I'm looking forward to playing the second and the third one of that, and then Papers, Please. It's a game that you can finish without actually finishing, so I've finished it twice, but I haven't beaten it.
I gotcha.
There's 20 alternate endings. If you guys don't know anything about Papers, Please, you should definitely check it out, because it's the feeling that the game gives you. So you're a checkpoint officer at some Eastern European country in 1982, and
isn't it
the entire game is people
or whatever?
Yeah, it's called Arstotzka. Arstotzka, Trori Arstotzka.
Yeah, exactly.
And people just walk in your checkpoint and you check all their documentation and you either accept or deny their passport and then you move on. And so it's kind of a social commentary, but not really, because I guess it does happen, but it's not like they're bringing awareness to passport checkers.
The difficulty of the game is that you make money for each person that goes through your line or whatever, and if you get it, so you have to be quick, but you have to be accurate, because if you get it wrong, then you get like fined and stuff.
You get 2 penalties before you get fined each day.
Yeah, and it'll tell you at the end of the day how much you made, and then it'll say, well, you have to feed your family and pay for heat, and then someone's sick, so you need medicine, and yeah, so it'll list your expenses, and as the farther into the game you get, the more difficult it gets, which generally means you're making less money, which generally means that eventually someone in your family is gonna die or something.
Hey, all my family's still alive, and I'm on day, 23. So, as far as I'm concerned, keeping people alive for 3 weeks is a feat. I have only died myself because I sniffed the powder that says do not sniff. Or it said do not touch, and I touched it, and then the screen went all, jaggedy and fuzzy, and then it brought me to the main menu. And I discovered ending number 9 out of 20.
Have you guys seen That sort of gameplay in Papers, Please made me think of this. Have you seen Don't Touch Anything? Have you guys seen this game?
That sounds familiar.
Pungence has done a number of episodes of it. It's a hilarious concept for a game. It's like old school kind of graphics that they have on it. And literally the entire game is just this one screen which features a metal box with a big red button on it. And then there's like an old like green and black style monitor on the wall that shows a city skyline. And you're like this guy's friend, and the guy's like, hey, I gotta step away for a little bit, just keep an eye on the machine, don't touch anything, I'll be right back, right? And so then you have options of what you want to do while he's gone. One option is obviously not to touch anything, and eventually he does come back, and that unlocks like the safe ending, right? But then the fun is in exploring this machine and trying to figure out. There's some other like random stuff, like a set of instructions that barely makes any sense, and like little clues here and there in the graphics, where to try and help you figure out what the controls are for the machine. But like you push the button and then a switch comes up, and if you flip the switch and push the button again, you nuke the city. There's one combination of things that causes like a UFO to show up and like Independence Day the city.
This reminds me of the Stanley Parable, where it's like, do you follow instruction or do you like ignore instruction and kind of do what you're not supposed to do? What are the consequences and all that stuff?
Yeah, except in this case, your instructions are very ambiguous. Like, the instructions literally are like, I think it's like, number 1, gry your screwdriver. It's like, what?
Dry it?
Gry it. Grye, I think. And it's like, number 2, it's like, gry your hammer. And then it's number 4, something, and then number 3, something else. But there's like all sorts of, as you go through it, like clicking buttons and stuff, different controls pop out of this otherwise smooth surface, and you get like keypads and levers that you can flip back and forth, and there's actually a hammer and a screwdriver that appear at different places, and like color-coded buttons that do things. And the fun of it is just trying to figure out, there's they tell you how many endings there are, and they show you which ones you've unlocked, and the fun of it is trying to get them all. Figure out what combinations get you to all of the different possible endings. Yeah. And so it's been fun. I think Pungence did 3 episodes of it. I don't think he's continued it since then, but I could be wrong. But it was fun watching him work through it, because he did it with a webcam, and his reactions to the stuff that was popping up on the screen whenever he would successfully find another ending were hilarious.
I might have to introduce that to my friend who played the Stanley Parable, because that sounds exactly like something that he would want to play, because he'd immediately want to break everything. Whereas I'm just like, yeah. I want to see the guy who is like very serious about it, and like he'll put on the game and then just like sit there and wait and not touch anything, and then just do that like day after day, like I'm playing the game.
Yep.
Just go for that same ending every day. Yeah. Like, it's time to play Don't Touch Anything. Let me open this program and then sit for 10 minutes.
Fantastic replay value.
That's pretty funny. Well, sort of a replay, I guess. That's as best as transition as I can come up with for this. But I've been watching Dragon Ball Z Kai recently. Are you guys familiar with Dragon Ball Z? You watch it? Or
yes. I am aware of it. I don't watch it at all.
I watched every episode in like 3 weeks in college.
Did you ever see the Dragon Ball Z Kai version?
I did not.
No. What they did, for anybody who's not aware, and Dragon Ball Z sort of has this reputation for very slow-paced episodes. One of my favorite jokes is, how many Dragon Ball Z characters does it take to screw in a light bulb? Just one, but it'll take him 3 episodes. So it's very slow-paced, Dragon Ball Z. But what the reason behind that, sort of the behind-the-scenes thing is that they started adapting the comic book, the manga, into an anime before the manga was done. And they actually got to a point where they had made episodes for all of the comic book, and they were waiting for the comic book guy, Akira Toriyama, to like do the next thing, do the next chapter of the story. But they still had a need to put out episodes of the TV show, so they ended up creating filler to bide their time until they got new material from him to turn into actual episodes. And so they have like entire story arcs and stuff and events in Dragon Ball Z that never happened in the original story in comic book form. And what they did with Kai is they re-released Dragon Ball Z, re-edited it to be truer to the original comic book storyline, and they also updated some. They updated some of the voice work. They fixed some animation errors that had happened early on, and did some like cropping and stuff to try and put it in a widescreen ratio, sort of artificially. And it's been really
like
fun.
The worst project ever. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, Dragon Ball Z has been it's a huge thing. It became a phenomenon.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much anybody that's familiar with cartoons, I think, at all, has at least heard of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, even if they're not, I mean, there's the "it's over 9,000" meme that, pretty much everybody on the internet is familiar with that one, and it comes from Dragon Ball Z. So,
the series is awesome if you guys haven't watched it, so just watch it.
It's a lot of fun, and I've my son, who is my youngest, who's 14 months, he tends to like to just make loud noises for no reason whatsoever. He'll just be like, "Ah!"
He's going Super Saiyan.
Well, that's what I will say to him. I'm like, "Are you powering up? Are you like expanding your ki?" And then I'll do like the Kamehameha thing to him.
I totally want to see your baby wearing like one of those blonde, like spiky, like the Super Saiyan hair wigs.
Throw one of those wigs on him. Yeah.
4 months and 11 days till Halloween. Wait, I did that math wrong. 6 months and 11 days till Halloween.
4 months.
Halloween's in August now.
Shut up.
Yeah, I'll have to keep that in mind. That could make for a pretty cool costume for him. But yeah, that's been a lot of fun. And if you haven't seen Dragon Ball Z, I highly recommend it, and I highly recommend you watch the Kai version.
I will have to do that
because it is faster paced and it doesn't have as much of the filler stuff. Although I did find myself fast forwarding through some of the Frieza episodes because there were just some very long like shots of like, here's the Namekian landscape from 5 different angles with no action whatsoever, and I'm like, okay, great.
Was that where they were just stalling?
Yeah, they were just sort of stalling a little bit, and the subject of that episode was like a 5-minute encounter or whatever, 5 minutes worth of interaction,
right?
And they needed to fill the other like
20, they need those establishing shots, make sure you know what the situation is before they throw you right in.
Yeah.
Trust me, Dragon Ball Z does that.
And then they need an establishing shot for the establishing shot, so that you know that there's an establishing shot coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People spend like more than 2 episodes not moving their feet in Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, you can very easily. Insane. Well, we were watching. I'm very close to the end of what I have of Kai because I don't know if they've actually released any of the Majin Buu story in Kai yet. I know that they're planning to, but when they were first doing Dragon Ball Z Kai, they only got up to the end of the Cell saga,
right.
And I'm close to the end of that. I think I've got like 5 or 6 episodes left before I'm out of episodes to watch, and I had it on when my wife came back from the grocery store earlier this evening, and she watched the episode or 2 that I watched, and then she says to me, so how many more episodes of this fight are there? and I look and I go, I think there's 4 more episodes for this fight, which currently has been going on for 7 or 8 episodes. So she's like,
and it's all fantastic.
It's ridiculous. Well, when she first came home, she goes into the kitchen to drop off the bags, and then she sticks her head around the corner of the living room. She's like, "Is somebody having a baby?" Oh no, it's Dragon Ball Z, because there's just a lot of
I'm sorry. Now I'm just picturing the whole like the over 9,000 thing, because that's one of the very few things I do know about the show. I'm just picturing someone sitting there like, okay, I'm gonna start charging 1, 2, and just episodes and episodes of counting to 9,000.
It's over 9,000.
9,00001, 9,002. Yeah, that's pretty good. That would make for a good parody video. I think somebody should get on that. But
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is it time for questions?
I believe that it is time for questions.
In that case, A Million Monkeys also has a question.
Oh, fantastic.
Question number A, subpart L.
L?
Before I give you my...
Get your font fixed.
We both just sort of like froze at that one, but okay.
I don't know. It's obviously I, but These subparts are just driving me insane. Before I give you my bizarre question for the week, I want to let Slash know that I started watching Supernatural on his recommendation. It's a great show!
Yes, it is, and I'm glad you're enjoying it. It is absolutely hysterical, that program.
That was not a question. That's deleted from the
It's a
subparts.
statement of fact.
I'm going to reformat it.
An indisputable... Oh, gosh.
There we go. It is no longer a question.
It is no longer a question. It is now...
On to subpart I. He says, okay, so I was wondering, if you had the technology to make clones, what would you use it?
Nope,
What?
that's not what he says. Try
If you
that
had the
again.
If you had the technology to make clones, would you use it? I added a what, and I was so confused. Would you use it? Would you clone yourself or other people or animals? What would you use them for? I would definitely clone myself to go to work and go do whatever I do at work, where I don't have to do it.
Whatever I do at work. See, I would not make use of cloning technology to make myself or any other people, because I have seen The Prestige with Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
and I know how that ultimately turns out in the end. So no, I don't think so. Now cloning, and like if I were a farmer and I had like a machine that I could basically like I could throw a cow in and scan it, and then I could just essentially 3D print
That's
more
true.
living cows. Man, that would be fantastic. It'd
But
be so
he didn't
easy.
say that this is free. This isn't free cloning. This is you may have to pay money to clone.
True. Yeah, I don't know. It all depends on the technology. I mean, there is cloning technology. It exists in the world today.
It's true.
Modern like lab science type cloning, where the clone then matures naturally from a single cell, just like any other living organism.
I did see a TLC show where you could pay money to clone your pets.
I think
that's
that's
very
weird.
weird.
That's
That is weird.
odd.
It's like these people had this bull cow they really loved, and it would sit in their front yard, and it died. Even though, I mean, obviously they loved it. It was like the family pet forever, and it died, and they decided to clone it so that they could have another one that was the same way. And this one was just this aggressive bull that started killing everybody.
Yeah.
It was like a nightmare.
I believe it. It's like that's you're not. It's not cloning is not copying.
Yeah.
It's not
Right.
It's not the exact same. There are so many variables that go into it. So I don't really see. I mean, if it were modern technology cloning, I really don't see the point to it, because I mean, I wouldn't really need that kind of functionality. But if we're talking like the sort of futuristic cloning, where it's like scan them and then essentially print a new one, and print duplicates, I could see that being a thing for like cattle or something. But that the idea of doing that with people just keeps me out.
Isn't it true that cloning, your best case scenario is to end up with what would be an identical twin of somebody?
Right, that would be the best case scenario.
Yeah, so identical twins are the same people.
True, right.
They look the same, but that's about it.
It's just weird, though.
Yeah, it is weird.
It's weird.
I think the only I agree with Slash that cloning people is a bad idea. Like, if you tried to make a copy of yourself and then you're like, go to work for me and stuff, it's gonna have a mind of its own, and it's gonna at some point it's gonna be the one that says well, maybe I don't want to go to work today. Why don't you go to work and I'll get to stay home, and then you get into this whole big thing.
I would clone myself and then give myself a lobotomy.
And there's
I think they noticed.
there's
at your
all
place
kinds
of
of
employment
ethics.
that
There's all
something
kinds
was
of
amiss.
It's before I
There's all
flipped the on
kinds of
switch.
ethics involved too, because it's you don't want to make a clone and then decide you don't want it anymore. That would kind of be murdering someone.
Right.
Kind of is the operative word. This would be a good time to insert the they can't convict on audio.
But I think it'd be interesting if you could use cloning for like if you had some sort of micro cloning thing that you could almost use it as regeneration.
Right, if you could just okay, my kidney's going out, I'll clone one of my kidneys, and have
You could still do that with a cloning machine, but I mean, you would have to kill the person, but you could still
Well, and
harvest their
there
organs.
are movies that are based around that premise, actually.
Really?
I think Ewan McGregor was in one that you
Attack of
had
the
that
Clones.
premise where it was
It's not Gattaca, is it?
No, not that one. I'm talking about a different one.
Who are you laughing at, me or Drew? I was gonna say I don't think mine was that funny.
I only heard Drew's.
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't.
I was gonna say I thought it was Gattaca, wasn't it?
I don't honestly
Oh, that's
remember.
Ethan
But
Hawke.
the
I'm
concept
getting
was that
confused.
like rich people paid to have themselves cloned, and then the clones stayed on like a facility, a controlled facility, and they were put through like the program gave them minimal levels of education and sort of conditioned them that they were constantly about physical fitness, like they'd constantly be going on jogs or weightlifting or stuff so that their bodies would be in peak physical condition. And then every once in a while, one of the clones would, achieve their ultimate goal or whatever and be announced that, they get to go off to paradise or whatever.
This is the island.
The island, there you go. And paradise actually meant that the person in the real world who they were cloned from needed an organ, and so they would take the clone off and kill him to harvest the genetically perfect match organ for the original guy. And Ewan McGregor's character and somebody else, I forget who.
Scarlett Johansson.
Was it Scarlett Johansson? I thought it
Yeah.
might have been, but
I've heard of the
know for
movie
sure.
The Island. I didn't realize it was clones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was one back in the 70s that had that exact same concept that was riffed on by MST3K. I can't remember what they called that. It was the Clonus Horror.
Oh,
That's what that one was
gosh.
called.
Original.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting is that the island came out in 2005. It was set in 2019, which is 4 years from now.
Yeah, it's very, very soon.
It's really weird.
Well, we are in the year of Back to the Future's future.
Yep.
That's true.
Come October, we will actually hit the date that they travel to in 2015.
I haven't watched the
crazy.
second one yet, but I did finally watch the first one, so that's good.
Well, you should watch the second one between now and October.
Okay.
So that you're prepared so that you can shake your fist at people and go, "Where's my hoverboard?" So that's what everybody talks about.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think that brings our podcast to a close. Hope you all enjoyed. Hopefully it cut together well with the tornado scare partway
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
Drew didn't die either.
Yeah.
I'd call that a success.
That is when we managed to. This is how hard we work for you, dear listenership. We record a podcast even when there are tornadoes spotted in the sky near our residences. That's our level of commitment.
I think it's really funny that you say that one last week. Why did we skip it?
You had a headache and Snow was on vacation, I think.
I had a basketball game.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, and I was
you had a cold.
willing to try. Yeah. I was willing to try, but I'm like, Snow said he's going to a basketball game, so...
Turned out to be the last basketball game of the year because one of the best teams in the league couldn't figure out how to win a game to let us into the playoffs, but whatever. I'm not mad.
Yeah, I was going to say not that he's bitter. Oh, man. Well, anyway, thank you, everybody, for watching. For watching. You're watching the screen while you listen. Nothing interesting happens on the screen during the
Don't
podcast.
spoil it.
It is a static image.
/ you should totally some week just, throw in a little clip in the middle.
Oh, man. The rendering time would shoot up, tenfold for that, but yeah. I'll throw in some random YouTube annotations at some point, just to see if anybody's paying attention.
Sub for sub.
like sticking a chocolate cake recipe in the middle of your research paper to see if the prof notices.
I would love it if you could. Sorry, if you link the. I don't know if you were going to, but the custom game table. If you could link that in the
I'll try. I'll have
website
to ask
or whatever
him.
that
I'll
does
have to ask
that.
him.
I don't know.
Who he actually went to for that, and then I'll link over to their website in the description below.
So yeah, I would love to see that.
All right.
Hey.
Thank you all for listening. I almost said watching again. Thank you all for listening. It's a podcast. Gosh darn it. We'll see you in the next episode. Send us your questions. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.